Welcome inside of the Debt Demolisher TV's DDTV room as we enter into day 23 of covering none other than The Dream Chaser by Mr. Tony Gaskins. One thing that we want to make sure that we are paying attention to when we are in the pursuit of something is whether or not we are on that path to the climb and how persistent we are willing to be on that path to the climb. So we're going to get ready to get into a great conversation. And if you are ready, hit the like button. Let me see a thumbs up and let's get on into the room. Let's go. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. Hi everyone, it's Sophia Melonē, the Debt Demolisher, here to bring you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you manage your financial baggage the right way. What an honor and privilege it is to be before you all for yet another live stream night here on the Debt Demolisher TV, where today we are continuing our conversations around none other than The Dream Chaser by Mr. Tony Gaskins. I want to welcome you guys to day 23 of our reading day. Can you believe it? Can you believe that we literally have about a week until we bring our readings to a closing for this month? I have to tell you, it's been a power pack week. It's been a power pack month. It's been a power pack everything. So I'm hoping that you guys have really been able to get some new revelations about your dreams and get some new revelations about your gifts and how they could actually work to your benefit, and not only to your benefit, but to the fulfillment of your purpose, because that is what's most important. And I want to tell you all that it is Trust Fund Tuesday. So welcome to Trust Fund Tuesday. Welcome to Trust Fund Tuesday. One of the things that we decided to do was to basically give each day a theme. And since we've been going live every day for the month of August, I get a chance to say the theme every day. So it gets exciting to be able to do that with you guys. So welcome to Trust Fund Tuesday. And that just serves as a healthy reminder to get your estate planning in order, even if it's just some form of documents, whatever it is, getting your beneficiaries caught up to date, making sure that all of that is updated, making sure that you have your insurance policies if need be, making sure that you have your directives on file. Just take one small step to ensure that you're keeping up with that. So that's the whole purpose of the theme behind Trust Fund Tuesday, just to serve as that reminder. First in the room, we have Queen Lisa H in the room. Come on. I said Queen Lisa H in the room. Come on. She got to take off that. She got to take off that. I said Queen Lisa H in the room. Let's go. We got Queen Lisa H with the takeoff stamp. I said Queen Lisa H got the takeoff stamp. She got the takeoff stamp. She got the takeoff stamp. I said Queen Lisa H got the takeoff stamp. She ready to go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. She trying to go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. She got the takeoff stamp. She got the takeoff stamp. I said Queen Lisa H got the takeoff stamp. Let's go. Shout out to Queen Lisa H in the room. Says hello, DDTV fam. And she came right on in with her takeoff stamp. So shout out to Queen Lisa H backing up her jingle with the takeoff stamp. She already know when she come in the room. We got Q Scott in the room today. We got Q Scott in the room today. I said, how you want to play Q Scott? Okay. I said, how you want to play Q Scott? Okay. We got Q Scott in the room today. We got Q Scott in the room today. I said, come on. Hey, Q Scott. Hey, Q Scott. Let's go. Hey, Q Scott. Hey, Q Scott. Let's go. Hey, Q Scott. Hey, Q Scott. Pass it to Bria. Hey, Q Scott. Hey, Q Scott. Pass it to Bria. Oh, shout out to Q Scott in the room today. Welcome on into this room. I am so glad that you are here. And Q Scott says hello to everyone. And we are back today for day 23 of the Dream Chaser book review. Awesome. So glad that you're here. DDTV moderator in the building. Shout out to Q Scott. Thank you so much. We have Queen Divinity in the room shaking it on the dance floor. And she says, happy trusting Tuesday, everyone. Amen. Happy Trusting Tuesday, everyone. Shaking it on the dance floor. A Queen Divinity, shaking it on the dance floor. A Queen Divinity, shake, 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 shake. Do it on the dance floor. A Queen Divinity, hey. So glad that you're in the room, Queen Divinity. Welcome on into this room. Welcome on into this room. We got Sherry in the room, says, hey, y'all. She came in the room with her takeoff stand as well. Let's go, Sherry. 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 It's the income, Sherry. Let's go, Sherry. Hey, shout out to Sherry in the room. Put the perfect stamp in for her jingle as well. We got the takeoff stamp because we ready to go. We got the takeoff stamp because we finna go. We got the takeoff stamp because we're taking off. What's up? Come on, y'all. I love it. Willie Sage says, loving the hat and the t-shirt today. Thank you so much. This t-shirt is by Sierra Lynn. She is an artist. I feel like I mentioned her a couple of times before. She is an artist and she does clothes. She started out with painting and art. She's just an amazing artist. And she did like jewelry and painting and bags, and then she's expanded to her line and all of that kind of stuff. So she's amazing. So I have a lot of her t-shirts and I have a lot of her hats. So if you see like painting and stuff on the hat, it's Sierra, the artist Sierra Lynn. But yes, so shout out to Sierra. Let's go. Oops, left off the fun. No problem at all. All right, y'all dropping y'all jingles. And Acacia's here. She says, greetings, CDTV family. Greetings, Acacia. It's so good to see you. Welcome on into this room. I'm so glad that you are here. Hey, so hey, Acacia. Go, Acacia. Hey, Acacia. Come on, let's go, Acacia. Let's go. Hey, Acacia. Come on, Acacia. Hey, Acacia. What's up? Let's go, Acacia. Let's go. Shout out to Acacia in the room. So glad that you are here. So glad that you are here. Q Scott says, well, we know how we're gonna greet one another at the retreat. Yes, we know how we're gonna greet one another at the retreat. And another thing is, I said I gotta make sure that I remember these, because sometimes I change them up. Like I think like the ones that I was doing from the beginning is like clockwork, so it's in the back of my mind. But I feel like I've been remixing a lot of y'all stuff lately, so I mean, it's good to mix it up. But keeping the original in there too. So let's go. We got Queen Heart in the building. We got Queen Heart in the building. Where's she from? Straight from NY. Ain't that right? Okay. Straight from NY. Ain't that right? Let's go. We got Queen Heart in the building. Yes, we do. We got Queen Heart in the building. There she goes, straight from NY. Ain't that right? Straight from NY. Ain't that right? Shout out to Queen Heart in the room this evening. So glad that you're here. Welcome on into this room. We are so glad that you are here. Queen Heart says, hey, DDTV fam, and she giving us a smile. Hey, DDTV fam, and she giving us a smile. She said, hey, DDTV fam with a smile. Let's go. All right, y'all. We are going to go ahead and jump into our conversation for our reading selection. We were assigned to begin reading chapter 16. And chapter 16 was a really great chapter, in my opinion, because it's two of the things that I love to do. So the title of chapter 16, my hands are ashy because I wash my hands and my glow butter is downstairs. But chapter 16, the title of chapter 16 is Learning and Teaching. And when I just read the title of the chapter, I was like, oh, this is going to be good. But then after I read it, I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting to get all of those gems inside of it. So let's go over the gems. Coach Sheena's here. She says, so, you make me smile. Thank you so much, Coach Sheena, so good to see you. Welcome on into this room. Welcome on into this room. Coach Sheena in the room. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Coach Sheena in the room. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Coach Sheena in a Coach Sheena in a Coach Sheena in the room. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Coach Sheena. Let's go, Coach Sheena. Coach Sheena. Where we going, Coach Sheena? Coach Sheena. Tucker saying, all right, Coach Sheena. You're going to get us all right. Let's go. Shout out to Coach Sheena in the room. So glad that you're here. Welcome on into the room. Tracy Ann is here. Let's go, Tracy Ann. Tracy Ann is here. Let's go, Tracy Ann. She slid it right in the bank. She slid it right in the bank. She slid it right. She slid it right in the bank. Hey! Shout out to Tracy Ann in the room. So glad to see you. Welcome on into this room all the way from the West side, stand all the way up. And shout out to Coach Root as well. That's also on the west side, stand all the way up. Let's go. Now, chapter 16, page 191. We're supposed to read 191 to 198. Tony Gaskin says on 191 that I'm a firm believer in the mantra that as you learn, you should teach. As you learn, you should teach. And I know we all know that Maya Angelou's famous quote around, why am I drawing a blank now? But basically, Maya Angelou kind of said the same thing. When you learn, you teach. I can't think of it right. If you know, put it in the chat because I can't think of it right now. But he says, if I learn some things today, then in my mind, I'm qualified to teach it tomorrow. If I learn something today, then I am qualified to teach it tomorrow. He begins to continue to say how, you can take your knowledge and you can package it and you can sell it, or you can give some knowledge, you can give it away. He says that there has to be some balance that's found between the two. And he said that he loves to help people who are helping themselves. I'm telling you guys, as I was just reading through this chapter, my mind just automatically goes back to the videos, the video of him in the car, or talking about the mind shift that will change your life. Like all of the things that he was saying inside of that video it literally holds true because he wrote about it like in the book, and he still upholds that same standard and that same notion. People who invest in those who invest in themselves. So he says he helps those who are helping themselves. He helps those who are showing evidence that they're doing the work. He says if there is ever a really big lesson a person needs to get, then I have a course on it and I'll tell them to take that course, and then we can talk after the fact. So he begins to just share a little bit more about how he monitors or how he looks at things to determine who he's going to help in terms of giving, or who he's going to help in terms of it being a transactional exchange, or not just being, like a handout or whatever. He says you can teach for a living, or you can teach just for giving. Just for, F-O-R, giving, G-I-V-I-N-G, 2 words. So you can teach for a living, or you can teach for giving. Do you see how you put those twists on the language? I say, woo, I wrote wow in the margins because it was just powerful when I read it. It just stood out. I was like, woo, what a way to word that. What a way to word that. And I feel like I'll keep that comment to myself. He says that a lot of people ask me if I can mentor them, and it's always hard to choose who to mentor. He says, will you mentor me once? Hold on. I heard the ice cream truck, and it's been years since I've seen one. So I was hoping that I could see it, but it didn't come down my street. It's just in the neighborhood. He says, will you mentor me? Once that meant a person who wanted to learn from you and then go out and implement what they've learned and then thank you for all your help along the way. Let's pause right there for a second. Have you ever asked for a mentor before? I can be honest and say that I don't think I've ever like formally asked for a mentor. I feel like I had been assigned mentors. I feel like I have been always placed under the right people, and they ended up being great mentors to me, teaching me different things, helping me cover myself, stretching me, but not giving me, the answers or giving me the solutions or whatever. It was always like a great exchange and a great dialogue that I guess it was like encouraging and inspirational, and it was motivation. Like I remember a particular, and I'm talking about like career wise. So I remember a particular partner that I was working for, and I feel like she was the best partner I had ever worked for in my career, because it was a different level of mentorship. And even though, it's been a very long time, of course, we no longer are like working together or anything. Long time ago, years had gone by. But every now and then I will reach out and just say, like, because sometimes I'll just get this thing like, man, like I'm really grateful and I'm really thankful for all that I was able to learn while I was under her wing, so to speak. And just seeing how she modeled confidence, but not in a arrogant way, or not in a way where she was like too put or like overly pushy. She made sure that her boundaries were clear, and she taught people how to respect them. She taught people how to respect them. And one thing that I always wanted to make sure of was almost like the conversation that we had yesterday. Whoever you have on your team is an extension of you. So me recognizing, I mean, I didn't call it this back then, but I knew that the work that I did reflected on her. And if there was something that maybe I messed up on, or if I would have made a mistake on, or whatever the case may be, then I know that that's going to create more work for her. So I was very observant in those times to like be very minimal with, trying to make mistakes, just making sure that I cross all my T's and dot all of my I's, and just really watch everything that she was doing, watch how she interacted with counterparts, watch how she interacted with clients, watch how her posture was in meetings, and how she basically connected the dots between what somebody was saying versus what we heard somebody else say, and then versus what we actually saw in the documents. And I was just like in awe, like, of this particular supervisor. Not even supervisor, because she was a partner. She was like up there. And I'm grateful for those, for relationships and stuff like that. So I didn't call it a mentor back then, but I definitely felt like she helped groom me to be like a sharp accountant. I'm just gonna call it what it is. She really groomed me on how to be a sharp accountant and a sharp professional, especially as female and a minority in the space that we worked in. So shout out to my former partner. I'm still thinking about you. It's been a little while since I reached out. So I probably need to reach out because I feel like it's been probably since last year. Yeah, because I feel like she reached out to me too when I was going through all my stuff, and they were like, "We ain't seeing you no more. You okay?" Yes, I dropped off the face of the earth. They were like, "Girl." Okay. He continues on by saying that sometimes when people ask you to be their mentor or whatever, they pick your brain and they meet them in person. Well, let me just read it. He says they pick my brain, they meet me in person, they copied my every move, they went on to make a name for themselves and never looked back to say thank you. He said, I learned then that some people had a different idea of mentorship. So he was basically given two examples on page 192 versus what mentorship used to look like, meaning people would want to be able to learn from you, literally take the things that you share and what you sometimes even suggest, just take that knowledge and go implement it, go do something with it. And then when you see results or whenever something changes for your life, you go back and you say thank you. But now some people look at mentorship, which is the second example of what he was saying, just to be able to learn your ropes and copy what you do and then take off and then act like that they didn't even know you and then act like they didn't even have any affiliation with you, act like they didn't even pick your brain for all of those times and mimic everything that you did. And he was saying that people have different outlooks of mentorship. So I don't know if you've ever been asked to be a mentor. There was, and I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. I've been asked to be a mentor, and I've had mentees, but very sparingly, to be honest, because it's a lot. Like it's a lot, especially when you don't make clear what your definition of mentorship is versus what the definition of mentorship and the person who is asking, because it could be two different perspectives with two different expectations, and it can create a emotional pull. It can drain you. It could, exert a lot of your energy. And honestly, I just didn't have the time to withstand that repetitively, like for a long period of time. I was just like, oh, this is just becoming a lot. And then, I get forgetful and I'm jumping from one thing. I'm trying to get this done. I'm trying to get that done. I'm trying to get this. And so a lot of times I would forget. I'm just going to tell myself, I will forget. I will forget sometimes. So I realized that having something like that, probably back then, I felt like, well, I'm not doing them a good enough service. I'm not doing them a good enough justice. I would rather utilize my mentorship hat in a space where I have to show up every day anyway, instead of trying to create a time or fit in a time where it's outside of my everyday schedule, because more than likely it's not going to be able to continue. So I use that hat to say, well, how can I potentially serve as a mentor in this capacity? And not saying that I look for opportunities at every time, but sometimes I get little hunches, or sometimes I get little notions to, go the extra mile with a person or share an extra story with someone. And sometimes you never know, the Lord may use you to say a message to somebody that's higher than you. And you don't know what you may say can do for them. I remember one time, and it was so random. It wasn't really random, but I think it was just a lot. It was a lot going on that I was trying to manage. And for me, I don't let everybody know what's going on, so people don't know. And oftentimes when I do share the things that I'm going through, they're like, oh my gosh, and you still smiling and you still showing up and you still doing this and you still doing that. Like, oh my gosh, why didn't you take some time off? When they find out after the fact. But normally I don't say anything. But it was this particular day, I think I had just got in, so it was still relatively early. Of course, this was a while ago because this is before the pandemic. And I had just got in, I was getting settled in. I think I was trying to like respond to some emails or something. I remember doing something on my computer, and like the big boss walked up. The big boss walked over to me, and I think they had a question or they needed something from me or whatever the case may be. And after that, after they told me what they wanted or told me what they needed, they ended up like asking, like, how you doing? Somehow the conversation came up or whatever, like, how you doing? The house, such and such, And I ended up just pouring out. And it wasn't even like a heavy pour. It was just like a subtle, transparent conversation around what I was managing in the moment and the perspective that I had to tell myself in order to push through what was going on. And when I said what I said, the big boss looked at me and was like, it was almost like what I was sharing with them was what they were also facing. And I had never seen someone of that level or someone of that magnitude or someone of that position get a little, like, really showed their emotional side. In that moment, it was strong, but you could tell that the voice was starting to crack because my story resonated with their story. And I believe that they were so shocked to see that there would be that same kind of thing going on. We're two different people, whole completely different life. And I'll never forget that moment, because when they walked away, they said thank you to me. But I didn't even do anything but just respond to the question when I was asked, how am I doing? Or whatever it was that they asked. But in that moment, that message came out. Normally, when I'm not transparent about certain things when it comes to your professional setting and your workspace, because I like to keep that separate. And it just came up and it came out. And I believe that it was something that that person needed to hear. So I can't take any credit for it. I can't take any credit for it. I was just like, oh okay. Okay. And then when they walked away, I said, wow, God. Like, wow, you never know what people are going through, and you never know how much your story, your situation may be the same thing that somebody else is going through. And even if they're at the top of the top of the top and you at the low of the low of the low, that don't mean that y'all stories cannot be identical. That don't mean that our situations can't be identical. So that's what that taught me. So the purpose of that story was to share that oftentimes we may want to mentor down or mentor across, but it could be a way that we could inadvertently mentor indirectly, meaning mentor up. Because you don't know who is looking at you. You don't know who's inspired by you. You don't know any of these things. You don't know. He continues on by saying, I had to learn from a distance on the teleseminar. So he started to share how he didn't have any physical mentors, but he identified those mentors. And the way you do that is by studying what they've already produced, studying what they offer, studying what's available that you have access to, that you have affordability to access as well. So he said that I had to learn from a distance on the teleseminars. He said, because then I couldn't afford to pay for the whole course. He shared that on one of his videos where he talked about the teleseminar. He would go to the teleseminar. And then I think it was one thing he said he spent the $999 something that he did not have to let his account go in the negative just so he could be able to get into that seminar, however many, whenever he had to do it. But that kind of reminded me of this. He said, I had to piece together the other half of what I learned on the free call. He said, after being used a couple times for mentorship, I started to be pickier about who I gave my time to. He says, you don't get any time back, so you have to use it wisely. There were so many moments inside of this reading that I was like, oh, this is quotable. Oh, this is quotable. Oh, this is quotable. But I was like, I can't have all of these cues all over all of the pages because I only have enough room on my quote card for maybe one or two sentences. So I literally had to read the whole thing and then choose the one that resonated the most with me. And it also resonated with the chapter that we read it. So if you missed the community post, don't mind, because the quote card is coming up shortly once we get to it. He says, when people would write me, I would look into what they have done on their own. Let's pause. Let's pause. And you can look at this from a personal goal endeavor, or you can look at this from a workplace approach as well. So when people would write me, we're going to put this in terms of a workplace. And you can put your own self in that situation. Before you ask for something, before you reach out to someone, before you send an email, before you pick up the phone, before you do any of these things, because you have a specific question or because you have a specific need, what did you do prior to sending that email, drafting that email, picking up that phone, making that phone call? What did you do prior to that? And I think that's one of the things that sometimes frustrate me with some of the things that I do, because I know that I'm a natural like figure it outer. But one of the things that gets me a little irritated is when, like Tony Gaskins is saying here, what have you done? What have you tried? What have you researched? What have you thought about before you send a communication to me? Especially if it's repetitive. So he says, I wanted to see if they invested in themselves. He says, remember, when I got help from an investor, I had already amassed 25,000 followers on Twitter, had already been on Oprah, Tyra, and the 700 Club, and I was the host of other small media. He says, I had written 2 books and became a speaker for major organizations. He said, I didn't just roll out of the bed one day with a bright idea and got an investor. He had to put in some work. He said that because of my hard work, I was able to get a few other people an investment from my investment. Now that right there is, what do you call it? That is, it's not referral, but that is like connections. That's being able to leverage connections. You can put somebody else on. You can give somebody else a plug. You can be a vouch for somebody else. He says, I stay away from people who only have an idea, but haven't taken any action. This morning, the community post, the Read With Me short, inspirational insight of the morning, or the morning insight, went out. And if you listen to it, then you know the track that was playing in the background of that. But if you read the message, and if you also saw the image, saw the video movement, you would have seen that it was around deciding their approach to climb this rock, basically rock mountain climbing. And the track was The Climb by Tony Gaskins. So that was the background for that piece. And one of the messages, or the message that was inside of the quote of the day, or the inspirational post of the day, was literally the reminder to put in the work. Like, nothing is going to work unless you do. So you're not going to get to the other side or to the top of that climb or to the top of that mountain unless you put in the work and you climb one foot in front of the other, pull the string, whatever you need, the rope, whatever you need to get up to that side. So I share some inspiration to basically, set the intention and go after your plan. Like work your plan and get to the top of that mountain. But sometimes we don't move. We don't take action. We can look at the plan all day. We can look at the path all day and not do a thing, but stand there. So he says, if you don't believe in it enough to get started, then why should I? Ouch. He says, there is growth in the climb and you have to let it build those muscles. You have to let it build those muscles. Okay, yeah, that's the quote. He says, I look to help people who are earshot of where I am on a climb. Maybe they can't reach up and touch me, but if I yell, they can hear me. Then he begins to speak some more of the metaphors between creating that fair distance, but while on the climb, but not being to a space where you're untouched, you're unreachable, you're unshareable, and so forth, where people can't even see you where you are and follow the path because you haven't left a trail enough for them to follow the path. So I think that's what Tony Gaskins is basically trying to say. He's far enough, but he's not too far that you can't follow and that you can't hear the next move or that you can't get the next message. So that's what I appreciate too about Mr. Gaskins too, because he's reachable. He makes himself reachable through his YouTube, through his Instagram, through whatever other platforms he's on, through his music, his spoken word album, through his courses, Saturday courses, the group coaching, just really makes himself accessible. So that's really cool. So 194 takes us to the question of the day. Question of the day is quote of the day. Quote of the day is, on this climb, you have to climb by grabbing one rock at a time. And it's your hands and feet that will get you to the top. So again, it just goes back to what I was sharing about the inspirational insight or the morning insight, that no one can get you to the other side of that mountain. Only you can put one foot in front of the other. Only you can progress and cause yourself to go higher. And at the same rate, you're the only person that can hold you back. You're really the only person that can hold you back. He says, you get stronger as you climb. And not only do you get stronger, you also get wiser. That's one thing that I've learned too around anything that you kind of put your mind to do. You may recognize as you do it, you'll find efficiencies and you'll find ways to do things better. You'll find ways to do things that is more, not only just efficient, but also more effective. And it's a powerful thing. It's a powerful thing just to get to the other side of whatever that goal that you set is. We're approaching the last quarter of the year, and I was thinking about the goals that I set at the beginning of the year and where am I with particular goals and what level of effort have I been putting in and just really doing a self-assessment to see, based on what I say I want, are my actions matching up to it? Are my actions matching up to it? So he says, this climb takes decades, and the mountain of life is much bigger than any mountain they'll climb for exercise and a challenge. He says you have to be willing to give what has been given to you. He says, whenever you find a chance, help someone out. Whenever you get the chance to help someone out, do just that. What did he say in the video? Help somebody. Serve somebody. Help somebody. Serve somebody. Amen. Chapter 16, he started to talk about the different types of people that you're going to come across in the climb. I wrote down 11. Was it 11? No, 10. 10. Hmm. 10. Ooh. This lack of sleep is catching up with me. 10. So he says that you'll meet the talker, you'll meet the watcher, you'll meet the hitchhiker, you'll meet the stone thrower, you'll meet the competitor or the hater, you'll meet the student, you'll meet the giver, you'll meet the teacher, you'll meet your people, and then there will always be a category and a bucket for others. So one of the things that I wrote down at the top of page 195 is just to, of course, allow us to have a form of an exercise. So the exercise is to do the assessment for yourself. Which one are you? Are you the talker? Are you the one that takes advice? Or are you the one that talks people's head off? Are you the one that talks the head off of the one who was determined to get to the top? And are you the talker that's saying that you've been to these specific places, but you haven't even really seen it? He says, take some advice from the talker, but know that you'll come to some parts on the climb that the talker has never seen. The next one, are you the watcher? He says that the watcher stands at the bottom and does not climb at all. So in the morning inspiration post, that was actually like a visual of that, because he was standing at the bottom of the mountain. He was looking up, clapped his hands a couple of times, but didn't move. So the watcher, he said that they'll encourage you before you start your climb. Yell up a couple of words of motivation as long as you are within earshot of them, but then they won't dare to climb with you, and then eventually they'll dissolve. They won't be there with you as you climb. He says, then you'll meet the hitchhiker, the person that's going to hop on the back of anyone that is willing to carry them. He'll ride you until you're too tired to keep going. You'll meet the stone thrower. This is the person that tries to distract you with those stones, and they will try to knock you off your path with those stones. They'll do it in jest, but really mean it with bad intentions. You got to stay far away from the stone throwers. But I think one thing that Tony is trying to show us is this: no matter how hard we try to stay away from a thing, it's always going to be one on the path. So instead of trying to avoid it, you should be bracing yourself on how you're going to handle it. How are you going to deal with them? How are you going to manage the impacts of them being in your way, or being on your route, or hitting you with the rock? He says, then you'll meet the competitor and the hater. This person is going to a different part of the mountain at a different pace and for a different reason, but they will see you as competition. They said that he will not help you, so don't even ask. And if you try to ask a question, he'll talk to his manager and tell his manager not to give you a straight answer. He says, once you realize that that's him, just keep on climbing. Don't even ask for the advice. Don't even tell them what you're doing. Don't even let them inside of the loop, because they're probably trying to internally sabotage you because they're secretly competing with you. Then you'll have the student. He says the student, this person will see how you're climbing and want to learn everything you know. He says, be kind to this person and help them the best way you can. Do not treat them the way that the competitors and the haters treated you. He said the student may actually pass you one day and be able to reach back and help you. I have to share this real quick. You guys remember when we had the conversation when Dr. Dennis Kimbrough blessed us with the interview while we were reading his book, The Wealth Choice. And of course, before we started, we had pre-conversations and we were talking, and he had mentioned something about reaching back. And because I couldn't understand, you guys, can I just be transparent even about how that whole thing came about? Because it was just so random. It was just so random. Like, this was like months ago. It was on LinkedIn, and it was a long time ago. It was back in 2021. Like, it was a long time ago. And I think it was a post or something that Dr. Kimbrough had shared. And I ended up commenting on the post, just saying like how inspirational he was and da-da-da-da-da. And I think I had shared how I had a couple of videos on my YouTube channel that talked about his book. And that is Label Your Finances the Right Way series. And that's still available on as a playlist. And out of the blue, he commented back on the post and was like, well, when am I going to get on your show, young lady? And I was like, oh my God. And I was just like, oh my gosh. He's like, send me a message or whatever. So I sent him a message, and then he told me to email his team and get it scheduled or whatever. And I had put this whole package together. I was trying to be all professional. I put this whole speaking package together. It looked nice too. It looked nice. I put all this stuff together and I submitted it to his team. And I think like the dates kind of didn't work out because we were trying to do something in December, because they were like, he only has December available. And I was like, I think December got booked up. So nothing else really happened. So then April comes and we're reading the book. I think we were probably like the third week in. I think we were like the third week into reading a book, because I didn't even think anything of it. I treat it just like we do any other book that we read. I'm not thinking about trying to contact the authors. I'm just more focused on being able to facilitate the conversations around the book so that we can learn and that we can grow together. So I felt in my spirit one day, follow up on that email. Literally, follow up on that email from October, December, whenever it was. Follow up on that email. I think it was from October. Follow up on that email. So I follow up on the email. And I think it was like the third week, because it was closer to the time, because it literally was like, oh, he's available on this day, this the time, da 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 da. So I'm like, oh my gosh. And it just like happened so quickly. So when we were meeting, he had mentioned something about reaching back. And I had shared with him how, because we had talked for an hour before we actually started to get into the interview. So I was so appalled because, first of all, his team told me that I only had like 30 minutes with him. I believe. And when we get on the line, I'm like, oh my, because I'm like, we're talking and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm running out of time. Like, oh my God, like, how are we going to do this? And so I'm like, all this stuff is running through my head. But then I just got this immediate calm and I was just like, just flow, but still be respectful of his time, because I know if he has to go, I'm pretty sure he's going to cut it off. But he said that the reason why, because I was like, why would you even want to come on a person's platform that's so small, so small, and don't even really know me, like, none of that. But he was just like, you have a powerful message and da 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 da. He was just like, and it's about reaching back. So he was just like, I don't want anything from you. It's about reaching back. I want to be able to inspire you so that you can continue to be the best that you can be in what it is that you're doing. So he really poured some encouraging words and some inspirational words within me, but I just thought that it was extremely powerful to have that experience and then understand why he does what he does. So he is about reaching other people move forward and not necessarily just focusing on the advancement and the progression of himself. Because if he wanted to, he could have been like, girl, you only got however many. I didn't even have 1,000 subscribers at that point, because this was right after Tony Gaskins had shared my page out in September. So I had just started to get my subscribers and stuff up. I was less than 1,000 when Dr. Kimbrough replied to my comment and told me to reach out to him and his team. So I'm like, oh man. I'm like, oh, they probably I'm like, girl, you ain't got nobody on the channel. We ain't gonna come and see you. But it worked out. It worked out all in the Lord's timing. All in the Lord's timing. So, but let's remember to reach back, no matter how big we get, no matter how far up the chain we go, no matter how high in the ranks we go in terms of position, in terms of notoriety, in terms of influence. Let's just remember to reach back, because I think sometimes we may forget to do that because we're often just focused on ourselves, which is understandable, but because people have their own situations and stuff going on. But I really appreciated Dr. Kimbrough saying that, to me about reaching back. He was like, it's about reaching back, so that, because basically you're going to be the next leg. It's pretty much, because he's like, I'm older, somebody got to carry the torch. So I got to reach back to as many as I can. And I think that's why we see a lot of Dr. Kimbrough being interviewed on several channels. And he literally just started to put videos and stuff on his page, because I have been subscribed to Dr. Kimbrough's YouTube channel for a long time, because he spoke at my alma mater once, and I watched all of his commencement speeches because he was a very powerful speaker. And I never thought in a million years that this would happen, and ended up being an interviewee, a guest of honor on the channel when, so. He says, then you'll meet the giver. The giver has climbed the mountain and they are happy with their progress. Are you happy with your progress after you've climbed? Are you happy with your progress? He said that you may catch up to them, but they'll keep going at their own pace. And I thought that this was powerful, because when you are a natural giver, or when you have giving tendencies, you're not really focused on trying to catch up to somebody else. You more so focus on what you're doing from your core, and what rings true for you. How do you feel about a certain thing, or what's coming up for you in that moment. So the giver, he said, is going to climb that mountain. They're going to be happy with their progress, and they're going to be happy if you pass them, because they're going to keep doing what they're doing at their pace. They're going to keep doing what they're doing at their pace. He says, if you need any advice while you passing them, the giver is going to give it to you. Amen. If you need a little bit of extra water while you are on the route and you get ready to pass them, the giver is going to give it to you. He says, appreciate the giver, because the giver may never ask you for anything. But if you get the chance to be a blessing, then please do so. This can tie back to those who participated in the Vet Your Spending Challenge last year, and you recognize how challenging it is for you to receive, and how you made the connection between the holidays and your spending around the holidays is because you like to give. And when someone tries to give back to you, it's hard for you to be the recipient, right? So Tony Gaskins is saying in this section that the giver is never going to ask. The giver will rarely ask. If they do, it's probably like a detrimental situation. But 9 times out of 10, the giver is not going to part their mouth and ask you for anything. Appreciate the giver. He says, then you have the teacher. And I'll be honest, as soon as I read this part, I wrote Tony Gaskins' name down next to this one. He says, then you'll meet the teacher. The teacher is satisfied with his life, but he's still pressing forward. He wants you to know that he sees you climbing hard, but realizes that you don't know it all. He'll give you some great wisdom and maybe even a connection or two, but he won't do all the work for you. Is that not what we feel like we've experienced? Not only through the videos that he shares, not only through the courses that he has and that we get to take, but even some of us who has had that anointed, blessed kind of encounter where that small push, that small blessing came, but teaching at the same time, letting us know the wisdom, but recognizing that I ain't going to do all the work for you. I may give you a little push. But I'm not going to do all of the work for you. And before I give you the push, I got to make sure that you're doing the work, like he said. Then he says, number 9, then there are your people. He said, these people will be your family, it'll be your friends, it'll be your classmates, it'll be your neighbors, or it'll be people who you know in the past. He says some of them will keep their distance because they are happy for you and don't want to interrupt your climb. But some of them keep their distance because they never did anything to help you. So they don't even have the right to ask you for anything. And then some will push you away because, hold on. Some will push you away. He said they'll try to claim your success because you're related and they expect that anything that you get should be theirs too. He said because they are closest to you, they will weigh you down the most, distract you the most, and at times make you feel like you should quit climbing. But Tony says no matter where they stand in the way, keep going. In the words of Tony Gaskins, keep going. Do what you can to help others, but know that you can't help someone who doesn't want to help himself or herself. That's so true. That's so true. So he shares another one about reaching others, but I wanted you guys to just think about this for yourself and just assess not only others who are along the climb, but also where do you fall? So out of these 10, because the other one is others. So out of these 10, where would you say that you are? And you don't have to say it. You don't have to put it in the chat, but just self-assessment. so that you can be able to see out of what we read where you honestly identify with, where you honestly are in your heart, and your heart will tell you it all. I know I recognize mine immediately. I started and I put a smile beside it and everything. Okay. 197, Tony Gaskin says, most people have a definition of greatness in their mind, and sometimes people just want to rub shoulders with greatness. He says, you are great in your own way. Let me remind you before we close out tonight, you are great in your own way. So there will be people who just want to meet with you and get a little wisdom from you. He says, they don't realize that. What am I trying to read here? Y'all have to forgive me because I'm like literally reading off of no sleep. No sleep right now. I think I got like 2 hours of sleep at the most. So I don't even know how I'm still up and alert, but to God be the glory. We're going to continue. He says, I reached out to some of them and I've never got a response. He says, I think some people are afraid that you'll knock them off their spot. Here we go. Some people are afraid that you'll knock them off their spot if they teach you what they know. He says, don't they realize that there is room at the top, and we all have a different spot at the top with our name on it. So you have a spot at the top with your name on it. And he says that nobody can stand in your spot. You can't stand in somebody else's spot, and they can't stand in your spot. He says, I don't make it. If I don't make it, then my spot just goes unclaimed. He says, knowing that, I'm not afraid to teach what I know. He says, I teach you. I want to reach. He said, I want you to reach your spot because I intend to reach mine. That was a mic drop. That was an entire mic drop. Entire mic drop. I wrote wow, and then I wrote preach in the margins of this. 198 was really good because I got a lot of stars and wows and preach. Okay, so we can close out with this. He says, don't focus too hard on finding a mentor. Focus on your work. Do everything you can on your own. It's okay to make mistakes. Take your time on the climb. Spend your money on yourself. Work your butt off to get more money to invest in yourself. Learn from a distance. Take their courses. Read their books. Go to their seminars. Learn enough from them so that when you approach them, they can see how much you've already invested. So what he was sharing here is the strategy to really finding a mentor. Because some people won't move or won't take any action because they don't have a mentor. But you're supposed to be in action without the mentor. And even if you are aspiring to be mentored by someone, you should be studying them. You should be studying what they study. You should be looking at what they're looking at. So that way you can begin to build evidence that you've made some form of investment before you even reached out, before you even attempted to put in a request to be mentored. Because mentoring takes time and energy. Takes time and energy. Okay, everybody, we're going to close out. And Sherry said, get some rest tonight. I can't because I got to record my video. Got to get my video out. I need to do my readings. I need to get everything prepped for tomorrow. And I have to finish, I think, one more thing. I got to finish one more thing before midnight. One more thing before midnight tonight. So I doubt highly that I'm going to get some rest, but sacrifice. Sometimes we got to sacrifice. Feel free to hit like, share, join, and subscribe. Amen. Thank you so much, Acacia, for that. Thank you so much, Acacia, for that. Q Scott dropped Dr. Dennis Kimbrough's YouTube channel. Yes, the Global Classroom. Global Classroom. He'll be dropping some gems. So make sure to check out Dr. Dennis Kimbrough's YouTube page as well. And then also get his book, The Wealth Choice. We covered that in April for Financial Literacy Month. So you can get his book, The Wealth Choice, and then watch the playlist that's dedicated to that. It's on the face of the page, so you'll see it. Should be right under. It should be right under Tony Gaskins' playlist, because playlist for Tony Gaskins is Build Up, Getting to Your Core Purpose and Dream with Tony Gaskins for Black Business Month. That's the name of the playlist. Okay, so our reading assignment for tomorrow is going to be, y'all, my whole voice is going away. It's because I ain't getting no sleep. Okay, so we're going to be reading from 199 all the way up to 206. So your reading assignment, we're going to finish out chapter 6 and 6. We are going to finish out chapter 16, and then we're going to go into chapter 17, but we're going to stop at page 206. So if you have the audio book and you don't have the physical copy of the book, I'm just going to read the last line of where you want to pause. And that is, he's catching up and will eventually surpass God B, but it's taking longer because the people have to elevate him because he didn't have the voice and the language and the book smarts that God B had, but he's more naturally gifted. Well, the comedian used to tell me all the time, you need the people. So when you hear you need the people, you can pause your audio. You can pause your audio. Okay, everyone. I want to thank you so much for tuning in tonight for our live stream discussion of The Dream Chaser. If you have not picked up your copy of the book, please feel free to do so. Even though we are coming close to the ending of the month, that does not mean that you don't need to get your copy. Get your copy of the book. Listen to the playlist, the live streams, get the reading assignments from there as well. We take it 8 to 9 pages at a time and catch up. And if you want to start with us and then finish in September, you can do that as well. You can do that as well. And then for September, just to let you guys know, we're doing Hello Tomorrow. We're doing Hello Tomorrow by Dr. Cindy True. But it's not going to be live. It's going to be premieres. Okay, everybody, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and close out. I want to thank everybody for being here in the room tonight. Thank you guys so much for your attention, for your support, for coming in, getting your readings in, staying attentive. Way better than I am right now. Shout out to all the DDTV family and the Patreon family. Thank you guys so much for your support. Shout out to Q Scott and Acacia for moderating tonight's live stream. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys so much. And I want to remind you guys that your financial prosperity awaits you, and so does your financial sanity. You already know what I'm going to tell you to do, and that's what? Get to work. All right. Bye.
The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone.